they relate to the physical laws the way that heat is motion of molecules relates to the physical laws. Is it that you deepen the laws governing heat and boiling water in glasses and all that when you move down a level? Now you understand much better why all the laws about heat hold. But when you move to the level of the brain from the level of psychological laws, are you understanding what's going on any better? What's your hunch? You don't have a hunch? Okay, we will actually spend some time in this next week. Let's move on to the question about physicalism. What is physicalism anyway? We've had three formulations of physicalism. One is that there's only one kind of stuff. There's physical stuff. Who rejects physicalism? Which of the people we've looked at reject physicalism? Who? Descartes, yes. Is that what you would say? Yes, Descartes is the right answer. If you say there are two kinds of stuff, you're not a physicalist. Another view that we've looked at briefly but haven't talked about much is to say the only kinds of properties are physical properties. So that's not a view about what kinds of stuff there are. That's to say that pain is just C fiber firing, for example. And the last fanciest version of physicalism we looked at was Jackson's. The only correct information is physical information. You got all the correct you got all the correct physical information. You got all the correct information. Yeah. Here's a different way of thinking of it. Here are some new friends. These are possible worlds. Possible worlds. So there are lots of possible worlds. This is just a kind of sample. As you can see, one of the possible worlds is special. It's the actual world, the world that we live in. Yeah? But there are lots of different ways things could have been. And we talk about possible worlds, we're talking about what could have happened, what might have happened, what would happen. That's talking about different possible worlds. When you're experiencing regret or relief, then that's talking about a different possible worlds. Sometimes we talk about what's possible when we're saying what could be the case so far as we know. You can say, well, it's possible that this is true because nothing I know rules it out. You see what I mean? But when you're experiencing regret, that's a different kind of thing. And suppose you say to yourself, my God, this is a beautiful day. Had I only got on the bus, I could have been at the beach right now. Yeah, that's regret. Yes? If you say, I could have just bunked off this class, I could be somewhere else. Yes? Hello? Am I the only one that has this thought? I need not have been here, you think. The agony. When I say that, it's possible that I could not have been here. I don't mean, for all I know, maybe I'm not in a lecture. You see, that's the whole poignancy of it. The whole poignancy of it is that I'm absolutely certain that I'm in a lecture, but I might not have been. You see what I mean? So sometimes when I say, well, I might be in a lecture, or it might be a dream, right? Then I'm talking about what's possible so far as what I know is concerned. But when I'm talking about regret, I'm talking about what could have been, even though the agony is, I know perfectly well that it didn't happen. So talking about possible worlds is talking about places where you might regret not having gone. Yeah? Relief is the same. If you think, by God, I nearly fell off that cliff, I'm relieved I didn't. Now, what you're saying, there's a possible world in which I did fall off that cliff, but I know that's not the world in which I am. Okay. Well, one way to formulate physicalism is to say, suppose we've got two possible worlds, and they're the same in all physical respects. Then must they be the same in all mental respects? Suppose that off in another possible world, there's a lecture room just like this one, with people in it, just like you and me. And there's a double of you in this world, physically exactly like you. Is that, if it's a physical duplicate of you, must it be have exactly the same mind as you? Yep. Physical duplicates that have different minds. Twins are can be physically very similar, yeah. But if they're actually duplicates, they'd have to be seeing exactly the same things at the same time, yeah. If they were like that their whole life, then you get the case I want, yeah. Would they have different minds? Really? So give me an example. These exact physical duplicates. Molecule for molecule identical. Yep. There's absolutely no way to prove it ever. Right. Right. You couldn't prove that it is the exact same. Okay. Yep. Yeah. I'll come back to that. Yeah. 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 Very good. Right. Right. So when you say you can't prove it, it depends on what your starting assumptions are. If you are a dualist, if you think there's physical stuff and there's ectoplasm, then of course they could be completely different. Yeah, mentally. Because they might be physically the same, but the ectoplasm could be quite different. Yeah? Yeah, suppose you're a physicalist. They don't know what they're thinking. Why? Because nobody can ever know what anybody's thinking. Okay, in that case, you could not know. It might be that you don't know what either of them is thinking, yeah? But you could know that whatever they're thinking is the same. Well, how could it be different if there's no ectoplasm? Because it's physically the same. So the reason I hesitated about what you say is, if you have physicalism as an assumption, then sameness in every physical respect is going to be enough for sameness in every respect. Yep. It's a bit like nations and people. If you get two nations, nation A and nation B, and all the people in nation A are exact duplicates of the people in nation, the other one, right? The A or B or whatever it was. Yeah? If all the people are doing exactly the same stuff in those two nations, then if one nation's at war, then the other nation's at war. If one nation's got inflation in the economy, the other nation's got inflation in the economy. Assuming that there's no more to nations than the people that compose them. Yeah? So there's no more to you and me than the atoms that compose us. If the atoms are all exactly the same, then everything must be exactly the same. That's what physicalism is. It's the view that there's no more going on than the atoms. Yeah? So a way to say what physicalism is to say, if two possible worlds are the same in all physical respects, then they're the same in all psychological respects. That's currently, something like that, is how most people working on this stuff would define physicalism. Yeah? Two people, yeah. A property dualist. I agree with that claim.
Do you think there are these kind of necessary psychophysical laws?
Yes, I think you could. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
It really is difficult that. But if you're a dualist there about properties, you are a kind of dualist. Yeah. That defines the sense in which you're not a physicalist.
Yeah.
Whether that space is open is not easy. I agree. We will come back. This is just an opening shot at the issues, if you see what I mean. We will come back to this. We will develop this much more. But you're right. I was skating over that. Okay, so look at that. Now we've got a new definition of physicalism. Isn't that great? Oh, what do you want? Okay. So supervenience, that's supervenience when you have the thesis, there are two possible worlds are the same in all physical respects and they're the same in all psychological respects. And if supervenience is true, then if supervenience is true, then there can't be two kinds of stuff, physical and mental, right? Because if there were two kinds of stuff, what happened with the one stuff might be quite different to what happened with the other stuff. And notice that even if you have variable realizability, even if you have quite different kinds of things, physical kinds of things, feeling pain, supervenience could still be true. Right? So maybe you feel pain and you have C fibers. Maybe an octopus feels pain and it doesn't have C fibers. Still in all, if you fix your physical state, that has implications for what your mental state is. What your mental state is might not have implications for what your physical state is, but your physical state nails down what your mental state can be. Yeah? So that's physicalism. Once you've got a definition of physicalism like this, you can have many happy hours getting your own fine-tuned version of supervenience. But actually, I'm just going to... I'll maybe come back to that if there's a time. But let's go back to Jackson's Mary. Remember Mary, who's got a lot of scientific information and doesn't know anything about the colors. If Mary knows all about the physics of our surroundings, she knows all about light and the different wavelengths that things reflect, and she knows all about the physics of the human color vision system, then does that leave open what the colors of the objects are and what color experiences people are having? That's to say, could it be that Mary's knowledge of all the physics, there's one possible world in which all that physical stuff is true, and another possible world in which all the same physical stuff is true, but people are having different color experiences?